Hi, how many of you work hard all year so that you can travel for a couple of days during your annual leave or during your kids' school holidays, and then catch yourselves thinking while on your holiday, I wish I could work harder so that I can one day quit my job and travel non-stop? Well, a lot of people seem to, want to do that right now, but that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, and I'm not really here to tell you how to do it, but rather to share with you some stories that I've heard and lived through on the road. And if I had $1 for each time someone asked me, how exactly do you do this? I'd have a lot more money to travel even more. But the thing is, I realized that they weren't really asking me how I do this. They wanted to know how can I not have a proper job, and they wanted to know why do I go to the places that I go to. I've been thinking about that for a really long time, and I don't really have an answer to that. I think it's just that I really like pain. I really like 36-hour train journeys in the shittiest train compartment you can find. And I really like the idea of finding a place on a map that looks like I could pretend to be a spy during the Cold War and then figure out how to get somewhere else that also sounds like that by taxi or by bus or by train. And that's sort of what I've been doing for a while. 3 years ago, I graduated from this brilliant institution of higher learning. The idea of having 21 days a year to roam the world freely just didn't sit right with me, because it made me feel like a ghost, a very hungry ghost. So in 2004, I began traveling alone, and I've never really stopped. I went to Calcutta, which and some of you might know from reading my work online or in magazines, that India is my second home. And Calcutta was the best introduction someone can hope to have, because as a city in its extremis, as a lot of people call it, once you get used to it, once it gets under your skin, you're never really scared of anything. In 2005, I went to the world's wettest place. Just for perspective, if London gets 660 millimeters of rain a year, Cherrapunji, also known as Sora in the local dialect, local tribal dialect, gets 12,000. And it rains nonstop for 3 weeks. And this is the sort of place where people go, oh, hi, Miss Reporter. I haven't really gone to school because it hasn't rained in a while and I feel really sick. And brilliant place. You have to go there someday. 2006, I really desperately wanted to go to Laos. I had $150 in my bank account as a poor student then. AirAsia wasn't flying to Laos yet, so I went to Thailand and I rode a bus to the border, and I took a 6-hour rocket boat with a life jacket and a crash helmet. So many boats crashing, but I got there in time to drink a bottle of beer Lao. Sorry, Dad. In 2007, I read about a festival on Wikipedia, and I booked a ticket to Calcutta and again rode the train to Puri, Orissa, to live through the world's oldest street festival, the Rath Yatra. It's named for the god Jagannath, who is also the inspiration behind the current English word juggernaut, because the chariots that they were lifted on would run over people, and there's nothing you could do to stop this indestructible force. In 2008, decided that, had never really been to East Malaysia too much. There was a brilliant harvest festival going on, 6-hour boat rides into the interiors, no reception, very little electricity, a lot of homemade moonshine, and a local festival to take part in, and that's what I did. In 2009, I was living in the Middle East, and I decided that if there's one thing I was going to take away from that, I would have to go to one of the oldest places in the world, which is Sana'a, Yemen. And it was amazing because I got to wear a burqa and ride in a local bus and pretend to be the Prophet's descendant in order to live with a very local family. And finally, a few months ago, I, with 2 friends, drove a rickshaw, that particular rickshaw, 3,000 kilometers around South India, and that's us trying to do something with a cow. I don't really know what. So people constantly ask me, how can I travel the way you do? But I don't think they actually want to travel the way I do. So I've decided that in place of that, I was going to teach them and to tell you guys a few suggestions on how you can have your own little private personal adventures in whatever capacity or walk of life that you come from. The first idea is, I urge all of you to go pick one big adventure every year and to go on it. So if your threshold for comfort is sleeping in a hostel, then maybe you should go to somewhere you've never heard of and go sleep in a hostel for a couple of days and pretend that you're having a really big adventure. For the rest of you, you might like to go to some of the places I go to, or take a train to Kazakhstan, which is entirely possible from Singapore. And in between all these big adventures, take a few very small ones. We're really blessed to live in a region with so much around us. And, I think a lot of us can say that we don't really know our backyard very well. But go to Cambodia, go to Laos, go to Indonesia. I think you'll find that in all of these different countries, they have a culture that's so rich, and there's so much to learn from these places. And most of all, it costs less than just breathing the air in Singapore these days. I also like to go on budget airlines websites and to pick one place that I've never heard of and then make mad plans to scramble and find myself there someday. And usually that's what happens. And I think it teaches you that if you want it badly enough and a place sort of calls out to you somewhere on the map, you will get there eventually. And I think you should just book it now. Like now, but there's no Wi-Fi. I think the internet is underrated. A lot of us like to speak of the dangers of trusting people online, which is a valid point. But I think if you travel, the point of traveling is to realize that, and to meet people who are actually better than we give them credit for. So if you look at communities like Couchsurfing, you can essentially stay for free anywhere in the universe. Even if you wanted to stay in a yurt in Mongolia, it's somewhere there. And that's what I use sometimes. I've met a lot of other people through other online means. When I was going to Yemen, I freaked out a little bit and I said, okay, I'm going to find a travel agent, although I never use one. I wrote to this guy and he went, I've been reading your blog for the last 5 years. Come stay with me. And so I did, and I stayed with the family for a really long time, and now I keep wanting to go back to see them, and I probably will. When I was on my cross-country adventure around South India, most of the other participants spent an average of 600 euros per person on accommodation. I spent just 80 US dollars. And so it's entirely possible, $80 can't get you even a night out in this country some days. I think one of the things that defines my traveling is that I travel to eat. I don't just live to eat, I travel to eat. So I don't care what sort of restaurant it is. It could be a little shack in a village that I've never heard of. It could be the world's best restaurant in Spain that I had the chance to go to. But just eat everything is the best way to really, really know a culture, especially here in Asia, when food is such a big part of who we are. So eat everything, eat it everywhere. If you get diarrhea later, just ask yourself, was it really worth it? So I'll just leave you with a video. I think the most important part of traveling is to step out of your comfort zone and sometimes, just once in a while, let yourself go. Japanese tourists, and they'll let you sit on the roof for free.